No, I won't cut into thirds, I think, until the wrist. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna still do our traditional. You just have to make these a little small because look at the size of this. And so I'm just gonna try to guess that we've got the right size for her elbow. And then again, I would have sprayed her. Now, the key for the medial elbow, again, usually it's right off the epicondyle. So what you're gonna need to do is cover that epicondyle. Same if it's out here. If it's this epicondyle and you're not happy with a buckle unload and you wanna do a full unload, you have to cross a little bit the epicondyle because you gotta unload where it hurts. Same thing on the medial side. You have to cross a little bit of that epicondyle. Now, because this is going over the joint, they're gonna be okay with that because you're not enveloping their whole, you're not wrapping their whole elbow. Most athletes can handle this, okay? If you just do the unload. So what we'll do is, again, we would have sprayed her. I want, if that's the center, and I know this is right where it's hurting her, I need that under my coverall. So I'm gonna come in. And I've got it now, all in here, the flexor tendon. Now, if she told you it was more in the flexor tendon, then your piece of coverall should look like that.
On an angle?
On an angle, because you have to follow the flexor tendon, okay? So it really depends on where they tell you they're hurting. Uh-huh.
Do you still do the marking to find
Yeah, if you need to here, yes. Now, when you get pretty good at delineating, you don't have to use a pen or anything. It's just, that's really for the teaching purpose, that you get used to not forgetting, you know, where you have to put your unload, okay? But if she told, I usually was like, where exactly is it? Mark it with your X, and then figure out exactly where that piece needs to go. Then again, I would have done just like I normally do. Okay, now again, remember, if it's here, if I tell you it's the flexor tendon and I point that out, you need to make sure you're in the right spot with your coverall. From there, we're gonna do exactly what we've done the whole time. Creating a basket weave effect, lifting 50% overlapping from the one below, creating the unload. We're gonna go right over the epicondyle. We're gonna go right over it. And again, we should see some nice wrinkling happening. And then again, we would re-anchor. And now here we are gonna wanna wrap this, at least I would, for the potential that it could come off. But if the athlete is like, you know, I don't want that, you could then cover this with another piece of coverall. Now remember, you sprayed, so that should stick pretty well, okay? So you have two options at this point. You have, do you wrap it or do you just cover it? Do you just cover it to protect it and to keep it on? So you could take your piece of this that you had, take it to your box and make it bigger than the box, okay? Then that piece goes over and envelops and attaches to the skin all the way around. By this time, you might need to respray a little bit though, if it dried. If that's all they're gonna let you do. But if they're gonna let me, I might again sit her up, put some pre-wrap around this, only this lower part. She's not gonna let me cross the elbow, and then wrap with light plast. You got me? So you got two options there. Just cover it with another piece of coverall, that's bigger, fatter, and wider, that covers and attaches to the skin. And then, or it's a pre-wrap below the elbow with Light Blast.
How far below do you go for the pre-wrap and Light Blast?
You just need to go 50% here to cover 50% on the skin. That's always your rule of thumb. You should never question that. If you went that low, that's where the tape's gotta go, the cover. But what I wouldn't do is this. Hold your arm out for me. Great. I wouldn't do this, because then you have to push your Light Blast down further. Okay, and I wouldn't do this for certain, because you're just pushing your Light Blast down further. You have to keep this up here. One around is probably all I need to make sure. Remember, they're not going to want you to put so much on. 50% on, 50% off. And that's about as much as she's going to let me do. And then finish on the lateral side and always connect with Leukotape.